Well, guys, it looks like MAGA is falling apart. We have a video by David Pacman Show. It's okay to enjoy MAGA getting ripped apart. What a devilish title.
To talk about what is happening inside the MAGA movement right now because the right wing is really eating itself alive, and it's a direct
Mm.
consequence of the choices they made years ago. Now, there is this group called
You know the sad part? It's not even really the fault of like conservatives or right wings, and I'm not even a huge politics guy, but what I'll say is it's really Donald Trump and, the Epstein files. Like Trump was actually a lot of people liked him at first, but then ever since, the Epstein files, he plummeted, you know?
Groypers. These are white nationalist, America
Oh,
First kind of nativists who
okay.
follow, to a degree, Holocaust denying anti Semite Nick Fuentes. And
Oh,
they are
oh,
tearing
Nick Fuentes, I see. Okay, I see where this is going.
apart the establishment conservatives. Now, Nick Fuentes, you might remember, was once welcomed to dinner by Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Trump
Okay.
later denounced him or said he doesn't know anything about it or whatever. And Fuentes now represents a faction that is cannibalizing figures like Ben Shapiro and Ted Cruz and others who
Oh
come
yeah, bro. I'm surprised that Nick Fuentes has surpassed Ben Shapiro, because hasn't Ben Shapiro been in the conservative space for longer? Like, what's going on?
kind of spent years really building the modern right. And the funny thing about this is that we warned them that this would happen. You know, for a decade, we've been sounding the alarm. This is the direction Trumpism is heading. The
Mm,
extremism that is festering is going to become a problem even for them. And for a decade, the right would just laugh it off and they would go, "You guys on the left are hysterical. You're crying liberal tears. Everything's
I see.
fine. These
Okay.
groypers aren't going to build any significant power." And so they made a choice. They embraced Trump, despite it being pretty damn clear who Trump was. They bent the knee. They thought we can control this so it doesn't become a catastrophe. And they
Oh,
were
okay.
catastrophically wrong. And so now we have a conservative establishment that thought they could ride this tiger of Trumpism and populism
Tiger?
into a movement that they would recognize. And they thought we can use these forces just for the things we like. It'll be used for tax cuts. It'll be used for judges. You know, Trump will push ahead regulations, deregulation, but they could keep the wackiness at arm's length.
I'm not even gonna lie. The main things that people seem to that made Trump kind of fall apart was getting too involved in Israel and Palestine and not focusing on America. A lot of people are mad about, the SNAP EBT benefits too. And despite popular belief, it actually, most people on EBT are actually still white Americans, like it's not just black people who are poor. There's like multiple races that are poor, obviously. But yeah, it's just not going good. Plus, he built that 300 million ballroom. Like, he's not being smart at all.
They could keep the Fuentes and all of that stuff at arm's length. But history tells us that this is not how radicalization works. Once you allow a movement that foments conspiracy theories and platforms voices that overtly traffic in dehumanization and bigotry becomes acceptable as long as it's the right bigotry, you can lose control of where it goes. Vivek Ramaswamy learned this when, as a Hindu, he was recently confronted by Groyper types saying, "Wait a second, Hindu? I don't think so." And
Mhm.
the right is now fracturing over how explicitly authoritarian and bigoted they really should be. That is different from a normal political disagreement. And this is working to further radicalize the base. We have seen J.D. Vance attacking Nick Fuentes, and we've
Oh,
seen, I mean, the
okay.
Shapiro Tucker Carlson thing is completely blowing up. You've now got Mark Levin attacking Tucker Carlson as well. Listen to this.
Don't know who
I got
that
a
is.
very
I'm not gonna
strange
lie.
text this morning from Tucker Carlson, 10:16 a.m. I'll read it to you for verbatim. Good morning, he writes to me. The leadership at Turning Point has asked me to debate you at their event in Scottsdale in December. I'm happy to do it, and I hope you'll agree as well. Beyond the personal insults, which I'll try to keep to a minimum, there are real and important ideological differences between us. And I think the country would benefit from an extended conversation about them. So again, I hope you'll accept. Let me know. Thanks. The guy is desperate. He's taken a hit on his podcast. He's fighting like hell for his career. He's fighting like hell for his reputation. People are awakening to what scum he actually is.
Oh, boy.
And he thinks I'm going to platform him?
All right, we throwing some shots here, eh?
Thinks I'm going to help him kick up his podcast ratings? What would Charlie say? What would Rush say? What would any rational response? Here it is. I wrote him the following. My family and I want nothing to do with you. What you've become, your vile libels against my faith, millions of Christians, and in my view, what you seek to do to our country. There's nothing to debate. You're a Nazi promoter. You're the modern day David Duke.
All right, so Mark
Damn.
Levin is not happy with Tucker.
Yeah, those leaked messages, yeah, that got Charlie Kirk into a lot of like drama as well, for sure.
Carlson. And what we see here, and I hesitate to call any of these people moderates, but compared to some of the extremists they are, when you lose ground to extremists, the spectrum shifts to the right, and the Overton window moves further towards fascism. And I think Democrats really need to understand what this means for us. We have our own fractures, right? We've got the litmus test leftists demanding purity, and the moderates and progressives are fighting over strategy and identity politics and all of that. Our infighting is also real, but there's a really important asymmetry here. Even our messiest internal conflicts don't typically involve whether democracy itself should continue or which ethnic groups deserve rights. And I believe that the nature of the fracture does matter. And so the danger, and again, this is all happening on the right, but I think the right's going to have to do what they're going to do. We also need to just analyze it for ourselves on the left. The danger is that if we get absorbed in our own intramural squabbles, the right can end up normalizing authoritarianism. And while we debate, is a candidate progressive enough? Are we messaging correctly on trans issues or whatever? The right is mainstreaming voices that want to fundamentally dismantle.
I gotta be completely honest. I'm not even gonna lie. Trans issues is the thing we need to worry about least right now. Like that is not. I mean, in terms for women, like, yeah, sure, because like, again, you have these trans athletes who are really just men. They're coming into women's spaces and then they're stealing all the trophies and all the awards. Like, how did we get to this level of brain rot where we don't even know what gender we are? Like, this is sad, man. Honestly, America has completely fallen apart. Horrible country at this point.
Democratic institutions. And so I think the only the cautionary tale for us is, let's not get so consumed by our own purity tests that we miss the forest for the trees. And this is the hell that the conservative movement has built for itself. Every single time they dismissed the warnings about how extreme Trumpism was becoming, or they platform conspiracy theorists for ratings or whatever, they were building this monster. And so now you've got people even like Ben Shapiro, who maybe thought that they could kind of court the extremist base without becoming targets. He is learning the hard way that when you feed this beast, it can turn on you. And that is happening at
I love that phrase. I love that quote, actually.
This point in time. So here we are. The extremists they cultivated are more powerful than the establishment that thought they could control them, at least to some degree.
It's not even like, the truth is, it's not about like, being conservative or liberal. It's really just, if we want society to be good, we need to do things that we know are actually good. Yes, I get that, certain things are difficult, but in general, Trump taking away like EBT, for example, it's really just a negative, and he built this huge ballroom. But in general, why would you let people starve? Like, it doesn't matter if they're poor or if they're not working hard. Even then, like, people shouldn't be able to starve. Not in America. We have too much money. The issue is unregulated capitalism, and it's also simply just, people letting their biases get in the way of, equality and fairness. Like, everybody from a mental standpoint, we all know mentally, like, oh, this is what's obviously right, equality for all. Like, we all say that in our mind. We know equality for everybody is the good thing on paper, but it's like, once we're in this world where it's controlled and manipulated by people. And not even just that, we also just have our own biases that get in the way of like actually setting out on the goals that we want to achieve or on the equality that we want to achieve. It's like everybody knows, every man probably wants a six pack, right? A six pack abs, but not every man has one just because of the difficulty and other issues. It's mad difficult, guys. It's difficult.
And I think it's important to know that this is not really a victory for us. The Groypers aren't better than the establishment conservatives that they're replacing. They are way worse. They're more explicit in their bigotry. They're more openly authoritarian. I believe they're more dangerous to democracy itself. So this is like a lateral move from bad to catastrophic. We should just learn what we can so we don't fall into a similar trap. We want robust debate about policy. We want robust debate about strategy. But we shouldn't be blinded or paralyzed to.
Man, world building is so negative sometimes, guys. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't even have to think about any of this stuff, any of this BS politics, bro. But now it's like, even if I don't care about politics, politics will for sure care about me. And that goes for everybody. But yeah, Trump, he's not doing good right now. He's really not doing well.
The existential threat that we are facing from what's happening on the right. The right made their bed by acquiescing to Trump. They normalized extremism. They chose power over principles. And now they're going to have to lie in it. And it turns out the bed is full of scorpions. We need to be smarter and more united because we're all going to be affected by what is taking place here. Let me know if you disagree with my
I mean, he's pretty much right. Or he's mostly right. I feel like I just want to live a peaceful life like Kai Cenat or Duke Dennis. I don't think they actually think about politics. Duke Dennis, he probably wakes up, he goes to the gym, does his stuff. I don't think he really cares about what Trump's doing, and that's the type of life I'd like to live. But the issue is eventually something that Trump does, or really any president, whether liberal or conservative, they'll end up doing something that even affects, the big elites, right? The rich people. Kai Cenat, well, he's just a rich internet celebrity, but even richer people than him, you could think maybe like Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, just any rich person. But yeah, politics ain't easy, man. It ain't easy. And Donald Trump, you kind of ruined MAGA, man. You made it implode on itself, and I don't know if there's any coming back from this. I don't know if there's any way to come back from this.